Hey guys, it's Matthew here once again, dropping a follow-up video on the Soul/Catrend Trickster, which is a hybrid-based character, basically just life with a bunch of extra mana for mind over matter, though you can very easily do one as pure CI, or more as a hybrid, or even EB-Mom hybrid with the Trickster Ghost Dance Ascendancy. You can easily do that, but I've just chosen to go a pretty standard life mana base one and copy the starter template that I gave at the start of the league. And as it turns out, this is a pretty damn good starter. Probably one of the cheapest, most effective characters out there at the moment, because it will work all the way to endgame off of close to nothing specific at all. All of the gear is very generic and easily attainable, and all it is a bunch of passives on the tree and a few links with all of your chaos skills coming together to form a pretty perfect unison of stupid fucking damage. Now you can see that, as I mentioned, I have tried to focus primarily on Soulrend as my clear skill, but I do supplement it with Bane a lot of the time, and Bane is on a 4-link, dropping in 2 curses, both Despair and Temp Chains, and if you really want, you could even just clear everything on this character with changing absolutely nothing off of the 4-link Bane. It wouldn't be the fastest thing in the world because I think it suffers on DPS just a little compared to Soulrend, but it is still a lot of DPS and it clears maps and trash very effectively, and if you 5 or 6 linked it, then once again Bane starts to do incredible damage. The current setup that I have probably has something like 1 to 1.5 million Shaper DPS once you've got everything ramping, and we are talking your Wither or Blight totems, we are talking the Bane, the Essence Drain, the Soulrends. All of that comes together and forms a huge amount of damage. It just takes a little bit of setup to get just right on some bosses, and that's a very budget setup that I've got going, and ultimately plenty of people have gone much harder, crafting really good staves and really good bows that you actually socket your skills into for the plus, I don't know, 7 or 8 or so of skill gem, which in turn just about doubles your DPS. I have checked it out, and yeah, if I was to put another 10 to 15 exalts into this character, I could double my DPS, something like that. But given the state of this character and how it performed against Endgame on a 5-link with very cheap, up to say 1 or 2 exalts worth of gear, there's just no need. I don't see the point in investing heavier in what is essentially going to be a bunch of fucking overkill. So from here on out, I'll just be showing clips of the end game that I did to get to my first Uber Elder kill on the character, and I was still on a 5-link the entire time. I didn't see the need to start going for a 6-link because it's just wasted currency as far as I'm concerned, and even on the 5-link you can do some pretty ridiculous damage, as you can see, and it is also a very safe playstyle because you can just run around for as long as you want and pick your times when you actually throw out your big damage, when you actually try and do damage. Otherwise you can just slow the enemies, you get some pretty good regen for your life, for your mana, and you slow things with your Blight or your Wither totem. And as you can see, I am still using a Blight totem up until pretty much this point, at which point I started to transition into Wither, because I did notice that Blight totem a lot of the time just didn't have quite the range I wanted it to have, or the survivability, and the damage it actually adds really isn't anything special. So you can keep Blight Totem, and I'd probably recommend it right up until the end game, because it does help out. The slow's pretty nice, and I think it does add a bit of damage to certain encounters, as well as bosses, as well as certain, you know, little strong boxes, let's just say, breaches, abysses, all this kind of stuff. You can notice the Blight actually doing a bit of damage. In the pure end game, all of the damage is coming from the Soulrend Bane Essence Drain combo for sure, but it's still very important to try and get Withered up against the enemies, and using the Wither Totem should be a more reliable withering stack against most bosses out there, especially because they really don't care about the range that they fire off their Wither from. So besides that, we do have a Tsiri kill here. I almost fucked up, but it's still pretty smooth. The damage is from my memory, much better than what the old Essence Drain was, even with double dipping poison mechanics, which is how you used to get Essence Drain and Chaos skill single target damage. This DPS feels much better, and it's pretty stupid just how easy it is to get. Because back then I had to do a lot of min-maxing and a lot of low life and squeezing out DPS to even come close to like smooth Itsiri kills. This is just like a complete face roll. So yeah, Essence Drain, Soulrend, Bane, try out all of the above, smash them all together. You got yourself a really good harmony of skills that can go pretty damn far off of a very little currency. Don't think there's really too much to go into my gear. It hasn't changed since last time, I don't think. Just adjusted a couple of helm enchants. I went for a Despair helm enchant, but it's pretty flexible. You can do plenty of different things there. And you can also see I've got a Divine Ire in my setup. That's just because I like to channel up for my frenzies and power charges before a boss fight starts. But just going to leave you guys with my first Uber Elder kill on the character, and pretty deathless, pretty 5-link. So enjoy. Hope you guys like the video and the character. Thank you very much for watching, and see you next time.
Good deeps, thick, tight. Actually, Potter's died pretty nicely with a... oh god, big lag spike. With a single target! Why is he attacking there? That seemed awfully unnecessary. As if my totems would still be alive. That's fucked, man. Look at this fucking shit right now. Oh no. My frames and my lag latency is just all over the place. This has been a terrible run. Went for the totem again? Could you stop that, dude? This is fucked up. And he's pushed. Oh man. Now finally kinda stabilized at least. Kinda. I'm too scared to place a totem now. Apparently they're living, which doesn't seem right. I don't even know what a fucking divine fossil is. Should he just make that up? Oh boy, that was fucking terrible when it started to go bad. I don't know why my totems were baiting so many attacks. Doesn't usually happen. Well, that's probably the worst Uber Elder loot I've ever seen. And I believe I said that on my first Uber Elder kill this league. But yeah, twice now, the worst loot ever.